Hi, Max with Sago Bloomfield Funeral Care here with Larry, our in-house rabbi and our expert on all things Jewish. Now, today is the leap day of our leap year, which happens once every 4 years as a result of our calendar being 365 and a quarter days and not quite that exact 365. But that's on the solar calendar. Things are a bit different in the lunar calendar. Larry, what's the deal?
Well, in the lunar calendar, there are 354 days in the year instead of the 365 of the solar year. So we have 11 days that we basically lose each year. And for some of the great religions of the world, it doesn't matter. It's not a concern. For example, in Islam, the Muslims will observe their holidays wherever they come out. And the idea of the holiday having to occur in a certain season is not a concern in Islam. In Judaism, however, this is a very large concern because the holidays, especially the 5 biblical holidays that God gave us in the Torah, have to come out in their proper seasons, especially Passover, which is the first holiday of the year and basically sets up all the other holidays. We are commanded that the holiday be observed in the springtime. So the question is, how do you get the calendar to work out so that the holidays come out in their proper season? And as such, Judaism came up with the idea of a leap month instead of a leap day, and that occurs 7 out of every 19 years. The origin of that is very interesting as well. Max, why don't you explain that?
Yeah, of course. So the origin of that is this thing called the Metonic cycle, which is a cycle of 235 months at which the lunar calendar realigns with the solar calendar. But the issue with that is that in order to get a full Metonic cycle, you need 7 additional months because 19 years contain 228 months, not 235. So over the course of those 19 years, you sprinkle in a leap month here and a leap month there in order to get to that 235. Now, what, in addition to the holidays staying on track is so important and so different about the way that Jews keep track of the calendar as far as the lunar year and our leap months?
Well, what happens is that in a leap year in the Jewish calendar, there are some changes to the calendar. The month that gets an extra month added is the month of Adar, which is the 12th month of the Jewish year. The Jewish year, contrary to popular belief, does not start in the fall with Rosh Hashanah. That is actually in the 7th month of the year. The first month of the year is the month of Nisan, which occurs in the spring and occurs when the holiday of Passover comes. So the month before that is the month of Adar. Now, in Adar, we have the rabbinic holiday of Purim. Purim celebrates the deliverance of the Jewish people from the hand of the evil king Ahasuerus and the downfall of the wicked minister Haman, who was sort of the Hitler of his day, who plotted to destroy the entire Jewish people. But through great deliverance from the hand of God, the Jewish people were saved, and the rabbis ordained that this holiday be observed. So the question is, with 2 Adars, where does Purim get celebrated, in the first Adar or the second Adar? Because it is kind of counterintuitive. Normally in Judaism, the idea is to observe a mitzvah, a commandment, as fast as you can. But in this case, we leave Purim over for a whole month and we don't observe it until the second month. And the reason that we do that is because it's supposed to have a close proximity to Passover, so we wait for that extra month. Now, on the day in the first month when Purim should occur, we call it in Hebrew Purim Katan, the small Purim. And there are a couple of minor adjustments to the prayers, and we just move on from there. So the idea of having this extra month does play a great role in the shaping of the Jewish calendar.
So, ignoring the Jewish calendar for a moment, but not quite, what happens if someone passes away in second Adar? How do you handle that with the Jewish directive to celebrate a mitzvah or complete a mitzvah as soon as possible?
Well, the rabbis of old seem to have been not of one voice on this particular topic.
I'm so surprised by that,
That's
Larry.
the way it usually works out. So let me give you basically the three possibilities of what to do when a person passes away. Let's take it that it's a leap year and the person passes away in the first Adar. So the first thing first possibility is that if a person passes away in the first Adar, in a leap year, the yard site would be observed in the first Adar when the person passed away. And in the non-leap years, of course, in the second Adar, which would be the only one that you would have in that particular year. The other possibility is, again, to wait until the second Adar, because the second Adar is the one that comes out every single year.
Wait, so you're telling me that Adar 1 is the extra one and Adar 2 is the one that...
That's correct.
Why?
Well, again, Adar 2 is we don't want to put an extra month between the holiday of Purim and Passover, because again, we're throwing Passover, we would throw Passover a month later, and we have to keep Passover where it belongs.
Okay,
So that's why we keep Purim in the second Adar, and that's why it has to stay there, only because of its proximity to Passover.
Well, that's a little counterintuitive, but
Most of Jewish law
sense.
is. But if you think about it in the long run, it does kind of make sense, because the linchpin of the whole thing is the idea that Passover must come out at this particular time and season each year. And everything else stems from that. Now, the third possibility is a person passes away in the first Adar, and they observe yard site in both Adars, basically covering all your possible bases by observing it twice.
well, that seems like the most Jewish thing to do as far as getting everything taken care of.
Well, we always try to cover our bases if we can.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure that you have more questions about how the leap month and the leap day. Actually, on that note, how do Jews interact with the solar calendar?
There are two very interesting things. One occurs just about every day, every weekday for sure, and one only occurs every 28 years. So the first one is that the fundamental prayer of every Jewish prayer service is what we call either the Amidah, the standing prayer, or the Shmona Esrei, which means 18. In this prayer, which is recited 3 times a day on a weekday, are 18, now 19 blessings, because one was added by the rabbis later on.
When did that happen?
About the 4th century.
That.
And the reason that it was added on was there was a lot of disunity amongst the Jewish people, and the people that really were trying to do away with the Judaism that was known at the time. The rabbis were very forceful and instituted this prayer that they should be uprooted and done away with. And like I say, once we add something, it usually stays there. We're great at adding, we don't take away well. In any event, you have this prayer, and in one of the prayers is a prayer for prosperity and blessing. And the form of the words changes in the certain time of the solar radius. It's December the 4th on the solar, and it's time from the solar calendar. And the reason is because it's based on the harvest and other agricultural things which do run off of the solar calendar. So it's not like Judaism completely ignores the solar calendar, but that's the one that occurs every day. The other one, which is much rarer, occurs every 28 years. And it's a blessing called the Birkas HaChama, the blessing of the sun. When the sun is in its closest position to the earth, once every 28 years, we will go outside from the synagogue and stand in the light of the sun and say this prayer. And like I say, it only occurs once every 28 years.
When was the most recent occurrence?
It was about 4 or 5 years ago. So we got a ways to go till the next one. But so that there is some interaction with the sun. But again, in Judaism, the crucial thing is that the holidays stay in their proper seasons, and that from that radiates out everything else, including even how Yartzeit is observed.
Well, thank you for sharing, Larry.
Of course.
Well, that is our video today. If you have questions, leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Please like, share, follow, and subscribe to stay updated on the latest content. I'll see you next time.